I'm your host, Big Dose, and I have the distinct pleasure of interviewing a man that has 14 best-selling books. Let me tell you, this man, I have to read this because he has so many things that's going on. He's a best-selling author, lecturer, consultant, entrepreneur extraordinaire, Mr. Omar Tyree. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Yeah. Where do I start? I mean, you know, your entrepreneurial path started back when you were in college, back in the day.
Right.
You know, you got to talk about just what was the driving force for you to start writing books, if you don't mind, please.
Well, I found out I was pretty good at it at 18. I was into University of Pittsburgh first. I wanted to play football. You know, so I was a typical inner city jock coming out of Philadelphia.
Right.
Wanted to play ball at Pitt, the Big East Panthers.
Right.
And when I got to campus, I found out I became quite political because of the scholarship students versus walk-ons and how guys weren't really taking classes when they're on sports teams.
How about that?
And how a lot of them weren't graduating, so a whole lot of things hit me. And then I became a radical student who wanted to speak about a lot of different issues. And I started writing for, freshman newspapers and whatnot. Other people started reading it, and I passed into the highest levels of English, which I had never done before.
Wow.
And so I said, hey, I must be pretty good at this. And a couple of my, peers challenged me. Well, you know so much about writing and you're so good at storytelling, you need to write a book.
Okay.
And so I said, all right, I'm going to write me a book. And so sophomore year, I started working on my first book, man, 1988, sophomore year at University of Pittsburgh.
Nice.
I always get in trouble because I always bring up the masculine part of, the whole issue. The connection to women is that they like to read books.
Yes, sir.
So a lot of my books have been content that men could enjoy as well. But since men don't read,
How about
I
that?
can't make that connection. And so typically we can only make the connection with men through sports and music and entertainment, or drinking beers, not through literacy. And so that's the issue there. And a lot of times women don't like when I say that because I'm looking at impacting the entire community and not just women. So a lot of individuals feel that I'm writing books strictly for women, and I don't. It's just that the masculine books never get the same attention that the feminine books do. Right. And so women will say, how do you know so much about women? They don't care about the male characters in the book. Every book I've written have plenty of male, so I guess they look at it and say, well, you're a man, so of course you're going to get that part. How do you get the women part? Well, if I'm a writer, I can't just write about men, I'm writing about characters.
Right.
If I'm writing about a different city, if I'm writing about people in the military, I have to do my research, I have to be on point. So as a part of my trade, I have to make sure that it's a book that fits what I'm writing about, fits who I'm writing about. And we say journalism, we're talking about newspapers, we're talking about magazines, we're talking about television journalism, but that's picking up stories, current events and affairs that are important to us as a community.
Right.
And so my books are all based on what's the important topic that I want to discover for this time, for this book. So each one of my books, you say single moms, we have a high single mother household rate in America, particularly African American. You say do right man, we have too many men who are good men that nobody pays any attention to.
About that.
So all of my books are hitting subjects that are important to me. It's not really, oh, I'm inspired. No, this is a subject I need to hit. Let me go ahead and hit it.
Mm-hmm. As a youth, currently in your endeavors, who was some of your main inspirations?
One inspiration, it was the fact that I could do it. And the fact that I could do it, I said, because at that time, in the late 80s, we didn't have a whole lot of authors putting out African American content. At that time we had, I think, what's the sister's name? The Color Purple, Alice Walker.
Okay.
And you had Alex Haley with Roots.
Right.
Outside of that, we didn't have, a whole bunch of, contemporary authors. Terry McMillan established her content in the late 80s and in early 90s, rather. She had a book, Waiting to Exhale, 92. So I was writing my books in the late 80s. By the time I put my books out, Terry McMillan opened up that whole trade for us, for other publishers to say, okay, black people read now. Because before that, we only had books about slavery because we really didn't read contemporary work. Right. And so that's where that came into play. I got an opening up because of Terry McMillan becoming successful in the current marketplace. And that opened it up for a whole lot of authors to step in and become best-selling authors, because before then, they didn't think black people read enough to put out contemporary work, and they would have been right. So it was a play for the love of money, but wasn't based on my book.
Okay.
That's just a very, that title was, been popular for
it's a hot topic now.
For the love of money.
Yeah, exactly.
So, that title been around 40, 50 years.
Yeah, that's true.
And probably before they said they came up with it off of something else.
That's true.
So that's just a title that's been around forever.
Okay.
But I have written a play called Broken Sexy. We put that together in 2009.
Is it Broken Sexy, bro?
Yeah, with the new economy, you have a whole lot of folks who don't have the money they used to have,
Right.
But in dating, you still have to be sexy. You still have to act like you got some money. You know, you don't want to take a person out and tell them, I'm broke, I can't afford this. You know, so we got a whole lot of gamesmanship going on. So I had a brother right from this area, Nathan McCall, who's from this area, and he put out a book called Makes Me Want to Holler, which was nonfiction about his life. And then he's tried to put out a fiction book where you're creating it. The same thing. And he hit me and said, Omar, this is the most difficult thing I've ever. So he found out how hard it can be to create the content as opposed to just reflecting on your own life.